being recorded in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access. I'll introduce the members. To my left is Lisa Normandin, the board secretary. I'm Alfred Gravel. This is James Bezikowski, Hans Winthrop, Patrick Callahan, and Tony Nicastro. The way the hearing will proceed is Lisa will read the application and any other submitted communications. The applicant will have the opportunity for comments on the application or submission of additional documents. You will please come forward to the mic and give your name and address. Board members will have the opportunity to ask questions that they might have on the application while you're at the mic. There will be a public comment period. If anyone from the public comes, they can please come forward to the mic, give your name and address all comments and questions to the board. The required findings for any special permit are that it will not be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic flow, congestion, danger of fire or explosion or other reasons. That it will not have a material adverse effect on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood. That it will be operated with reasonable regard for order and sightliness if in open use. And that it will not produce noise, vibration, smoke, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines in amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of adjacent property. And with that, I would ask Lisa to please read the application.
This is an application for a special permit, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 9, Zoning Board of Appeals. The name and address of the applicant is Michael McGain, Dan's Paving and Excavating, Inc., 691 Chase Road in Lunenburg. The undersigned hereby makes application as follows. Seeking a special permit to operate our home base for our paving and excavating business at 691 Chase Road. The proposed action has not begun. The basis for this application is found in the following section of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, section 250-41L6. Street address is 691 Chase Road in Lunenburg, assesses map 21, parcel 3. Name and address of each holder of legal title to the land, which is the subject of this case, is Michael McGain, Dan's Paving and Excavating, Inc., 691 Chase Road in Lunenburg. The deed is recorded in Worcester Northern District Registry of Deeds, Book 10266, page 335, and recorded 2/22/22. If the undersigned has any knowledge of a prior appeal, application, or petition concerning the land or building involved in this case, describe the case and the dates involved. In June 9th of 2016, a special permit was granted to Richard and Arlene Bro to operate a street hockey center, never exercised a special permit. The special permit answers and questions are as follows. Will the proposed action be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion, danger of fire or explosion, or other reasons? The reply: no, the proposed action will diminish the possibility of injury and or danger to the public health by removing the discarded furniture, appliances, abandoned cars, machine parts, etc. that have been dumped on this property for many years. The property, 691 Chase Road, will be our home base where the office is located and trucks and equipment are parked. All services of a paving and excavating business are performed off-site. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. There will be minimal traffic entering from and exiting onto Chase Road. Trucks will exit properly each morning between 7 and 8 a.m. and return to home base between 4 and 6 p.m. B, will this action have a material adverse effect on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities of the neighborhood? The response: no. The proposed action will have a positive material effect on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood by creating a welcoming entryway off Chase Road that includes well-maintained frontage, landscape, and indigenous foliage. This type of landscaping will be present throughout the property, creating a visually appealing, seamless transition to the wetlands. C, will the proposed action be operated with reasonable regard for order and sightliness if in open use? The reply: yes, the proposed action will be operated with reasonable regard for order and sightliness by maintaining a welcoming entryway and frontage, change temporary office trailer color from white red to a to a neutral beige brown, and trucks' equipment will be parked in an orderly fashion on the designated parking area. We will continue to remove the discarded furniture, appliances, abandoned cars, machine parts, etc., that have been dumped on this property for many years. And there's an attachment that I will read after. The final question, will the proposed action produce noise, vibration, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines in amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of adjacent property? And the reply is no, there will be minimal noise from trucks starting up each morning between 7 and 8 a.m., which is outside our immediate commercial neighbors' operating hours. The residential area across Chase Road is located far enough away that they will not hear the trucks starting up. Part 13. The following information is provided because it is considered important to this case. Dan's Paving and Excavating is a family-owned, operated business. They've been based out of Fitchburg while serving customers from north central Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire for over 40 years. For the last 15 years, the business was primarily run by Sean McGain, a longtime Lunenburg resident, and the son of owner Michael McGain, while the latter prepared for retirement. Sean's pride in his and his young family's hometown of Lunenburg was evident to all who encountered in business and in his personal life. He also had a deep connection to the conservation of our planet's water, land, and natural resources. Sean passed away suddenly and unexpectedly in April of 2020. In April 2021, Dan's Paving and Excavating was entering the 8th year renting space at Mungsho Paper Complex on River Street in Fitchburg. They received shocking news from the property manager that our business will have to relocate within 6 months due to the sale of the complex. Our family feels that the auspicious timing of this land purchase in Lunenburg and the opportunity to nurture the wetlands conservation land within it is a gift from Sean, and we will treat it as such. This is the attachment that I spoke of earlier. It's from Dave Clapham, dated February 23rd, 2022. Hi, Melissa. As stated above from a forestry perspective of the company, as long as we have a key code or ideally one of our locks on any gate that is installed, it is not an issue as long as we can either enter and drive under the lines or down the driveway and enter after the trailers through the old road, and isn't an issue not using the old road access from Chase Road. I totally understand why you blocked off the road. I do like how you cleaned up everyone's dump site from over the years. I was always afraid of getting stuck or popping tires driving in there due to the illegal dumping and campfires that would happen. And that is from Dave Clapham, Unitil Mass Forestry Supervisor. And it is signed March 6th by Michael McGain, 691 Chase Road. Now we'll read the building inspector's letter dated February 17th. It was addressed to XQS Corporation of Gloucester, Mass., but it has since changed hands, regarding 691 Chase Road. To whom it may concern, it has been discovered by this office that the vacant land located at 691 Chase Road, parcel 21-3, has commercial paving business with road signage, equipment and office trailers on site, as well as a newly paved driveway. This work and site has not gone through the appropriate town departments at this time. The Town of Lunenburg zoning bylaw, table of uses 250-41L6 requires a contractor's yard receive a special permit through the Zoning Board of Appeals. In addition, under Section 258.4B5, any use requiring a special permit also requires site plan approval through the Planning Board. At this time, the town is requiring the sign off the road be removed off-site and all paving company-related equipment and office-type trailers be removed off-site until the proper procedures have been completed. The town will be looking for these items to be removed off-site within 14 days of the date of this notice. Sincerely, Casey Burlingame. And then there's also a list of butters. There is a site plan, and that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Lisa.
I did receive 2 letters from abutters. Would you like me to read those?
What is the neighbors?
Can I ask your name, sir?
Clark Knudsen.
So this is your letter that was
Yes.
submitted?
Would you like it read into the minutes, or would you like to address it yourself?
Having it read into the minutes would be wonderful.
Okay. This is dated March 22nd from Clark Knudsen regarding Zoning Board of Appeals for 691 Chase Road Development. While I support individual rights allowing people to use their property as they will, I fully recognize that these needs need to be balanced as there is a strong potential to impact those nearby. I hope all can agree that in land use, it is often much more difficult to undo a misstep than prevent it. I plan to attend tomorrow's meeting with an open mind and wanted to give a heads up that my hope is that the following points be addressed and considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals prior to making a decision on the special permit. Number one, what is the current zoning for this property? Potential impact to nearby properties. From the Lunenburg Town website, see attachment 1, it appears that the zoning is commercial district. Town bylaws, paragraph, section 254.1K, commercial uses would seem to apply. As stated in the notice, the special permit would be to allow paragraph 254.1L6. What differences in regulations and/or standards would apply to the modifying from commercial to heavy commercial? My perception is that this would fit in a much more industrial area, which is not aligned with the current zoning. 2, what are the intended uses for the property? The notice states that the property is intended to be a use for a contractor's yard, for a paving company. Once the intended use is established, how difficult would it be for the intended use to be modified? Nearby property owners, including myself, have identified at least 4 areas of concern. Water runoff quality, potential public health issue. By modifying the current use of the land, relatively undeveloped, wooded state to a contractor's yard, there seems to be a likelihood for increased surface water runoff. Where will this water be directed? There is an already notable impact to the eastern side of Chase Road, turning otherwise good land into stagnant water retention areas. Will runoff be diverted there, or what plans are in place to ensure no negative impact to adjoining properties from runoff, including the purity of water leaving the pavement site? Please consider that modified runoff, until it is delivered to a dedicated water channel, e.g. Mulpus Brook, has the potential to form standing areas, stagnant pools, which further impact public health by being mosquito breeding areas. B, water runoff purity, potential groundwater impact, potential public health issue. Depending on the use of the property, there may be notable impact to the groundwater supply for nearby property owners. If the property will be used solely for the storage of clean vehicles with no chemical storage beyond a typical parking area, e.g. vehicle fuel, motor oil, then it would have no effect more detrimental beyond what exists in adjoining properties. If the property is to be used for purposes of mixing chemicals common in pavement, e.g. tires, heavy oils, or cleaning of vehicles, e.g. with diesel fuel, this could potentially increase impact of pavement chemicals leaching into the groundwater used by adjoining property owners for drinking water. These properties are well outside the water district, hence are reliant on groundwater. Attachment 2 is a study done that shows that there is an impact on water from asphalt that impact can increase with more pavement. Were the special permit approved, what qualities of chemicals would be expected by nearby property owners? Further, what measures are in place to ensure that the activities on the property are not modified? From what I can gather, other contract yards in the vicinity of Lunenburg, e.g. Miller Asphalt, 218 Summer Street in Lunenburg, Builders Surplus, 29 Summer Street in Lunenburg, Proctor's Landscaping and Masonry Supply, 390 Electric Ave in Lunenburg, are located within water districts wherein private wells are not requisite for habitability. Should this be a consideration for public impact to public health? C, odors, potential impacts to public health, impacted nearby property value, and impacting normal use of nearby residences. Again, depending on the use of the lot, if the property is to be used for the parking of clean vehicles, this is no impact more detrimental than current adjoining properties. If the intended use is to mix chemicals and/or storage of chemicals, which odors are unpleasant, there are multiple adjoining residential properties within a short distance. There are some as close as within 400 feet. With a quick count, there are 20 residents within a quarter mile of the likely mix site. If this special permit is accepted as a parking lot and the property owner later changes the use, what measures are in place to ensure that adjoining property owners are not unreasonably impacted by such a change? E.g., would future hearings have to be held with proper notice, or would the property owner be able to do anything within the purview of the definition of contractor yard? Odors would definitely have an impact on nearby property values. A strong odor would be highly detrimental to the normal use of nearby property owners, e.g. unable to go outside to enjoy grilling or a swimming pool. D, audible noises, potential impact to nearby property values. What regulations would govern this property were its use also approved for heavy commercial? The adjoining property to the north is an auto sale lot, where it may occasionally operate beyond normal hours. The audible noises tend to be limited to loading, unloading automobiles, form trailers, as well as mass-moving vehicles for approaching storms. What noises would adjoining property owners, remember residential within proximity, expect and at what hours? Further, where with a special permit approved and the property owner to later desire to change the initial agreed-upon use, what measures are in place to govern the change? I thank you for your time and considering the above points before deciding on the special permit application. Sincerely, Clark Knudsen of 487 Holman Street in Lunenburg. Go ahead.
I would read that one as well.
I-
but not here.
I read this, I received this afternoon, March 23rd, regarding special permit for 691 Chase Road. Dear Chairman Gravel and members of the boards, I represent Dr. Darren Massey of 300 Holman Street, an abutter to the above referenced parcel. This letter is intended to address his concerns with the proposed use as a contractor's yard for paving. I say proposed because I understand that they have already begun. Proceeding without the proper permits is at their peril, as I know the board knows. I trust the board will take whatever action they deem appropriate, notwithstanding any inconvenience caused by work already underway. If this is accurate, it is a little troubling that the applicant answered no to has the use begun. That being said, Mr. Massey is not opposed to, and in fact welcomes businesses to his neighborhood. He only wants to be sure that they are in compliance with zoning. Let me begin by addressing the 5 criteria upon which you must make findings pursuant to Section 258.3B2 D1. Number 6, contractor's yard. Any land or buildings housing the offices of and used for the storage of equipment, vehicles, machinery, new or used, building material, paints, pipe, or electrical components used by the owner or occupant of the premises in the conduct of any building trades or building craft. A, the specific site is an appropriate location for such a building or alteration. B, the proposed building or alteration is compatible with the existing neighborhood with regard to size, location, and architecture. C, the granting of the special permit will not adversely affect the neighborhood. D, the granting of the special permit will not unreasonably diminish the available light, air, sunlight, and other amenities. And E, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. A, the specific site is an appropriate location for such a building or operation. Based on the application and subject to other concerns set forth herein, this appears to be the case. As proposed, this is not a manufacturing facility or anything of the sort which would cause the use to be industrial. There is nothing that would transform the use, distribution, or manufacturing which are not permitted in a commercial zone. The applicant asked for a slightly different information. A, will the proposed action be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion, danger of fire or explosion, or other reasons? Will the action have a material adverse effect on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities of the neighborhood? C, will the proposed action be operated with a reasonable regard for order and sightliness if in open use? D, will the proposed action produce noise, vibration, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines and amounts clearly detrimental to the use of adjacent property? 1, distribution. Storage, wholesale, and shipment or movement of manufactured products, supplies, and equipment, including bulk storage of materials that are inflammable or explosive, or that present hazards or conditions commonly recognized as offensive. 3, manufacturing. The mechanical or chemical transformation of materials or substances into new products, including the assembling of component parts, the creation of products, and the blending of materials, including but not limited to oils, plastics, resins, etc., which by the nature of the materials, equipment, and process utilized are not objectionable by reason of odor, radiation, noise, vibration, gas fumes, dust, smoke, refuse matter, or water-carried waste. B, the proposed building or alteration is compatible with the existing neighborhood with regards to size, location, architecture. The temporary trailer is certainly not compatible with the neighborhood long-term. The applicant should ultimately erect a building. Note that such temporary structures are not permitted in a commercial zone, Section 254(1)(e)(1)(b). Non-permanent business structures such as trailers, trucks, storage boxes, open-air stands, and carts used for office supplies, retail space, wholesale storage, except for an accessory use as permitted in 254(1)(6)(c)(1)(l) and 254(7)(b)(2)(d). C, the granting of the special permit will not adversely affect the neighborhood. There are 5 concerns. 2 of them, runoff and contamination, are major concerns. The surface runoff coming onto the adjacent property is a concern. Possible groundwater contamination is another. The adjacent property has drainage culverts that feed into Mulpus Brook. We are concerned about the volume of the runoff and about any contaminants which might get into the water. If the parlance of the application would be injurious to the public health. Taking the land from its undeveloped state to a contractor's yard, there seems to be a high likelihood for increased surface water runoff. Where will this water be directed? There is already notable impact on the eastern side of Chase Road, turning otherwise good land into stagnant water retention areas. Will runoff be diverted here, or what plans are in place to ensure no negative impact to adjoining properties from runoff? Depending on the use of the property, there may be notable impact to the groundwater supply for adjoining property owners. If the property will be used solely for the storage of clean vehicles with no chemical storage beyond a typical parking area, e.g. vehicle fuel, motor oil, then this would have no effect more detrimental beyond what exists in adjoining properties. The application does not say they will be storing chemicals, even in the trucks. If no storage is a condition of the permit, that's one thing. But if the property is to be used for purposes of storing chemicals, common in pavement, e.g. tires, heavy oils, or cleaning vehicles, e.g. with diesel fuel, this could potentially increase impact of pavement chemicals leaching into the groundwater used by adjoining property owners for drinking water. These properties are all well outside the water district, hence are reliant I'm missing a page.
That's okay.
On the groundwater. If the special permit is approved, qualities of chemicals should be limited and measures are in place to ensure that the activities on the property comply with the permit, including any limitations on contaminants. The 3 other concerns are odors, noise, and the proposed temporary trailer. 2 of the other 3 concerns may be more of a concern to abutters with a closer residence, odor and noise. The permit should be appropriately conditioned to address these. The last concern is the intent to use a temporary trailer for an office. For how long? There is a concern that this will be a long-term situation, affecting the market value in neighboring neighborhood negatively versus a new commercial building. As noted, it is not permitted under current zoning. D, the granting of the special permit will not unreasonably diminish the available light, air, sunlight, and other amenities. It is difficult to address this issue from the information in the application. Apparently, there are not currently plans to erect a building on site, but operate from a temporary trailer. As noted, that should not be permitted. E, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. Again, both the volume of runoff and any contamination would constitute a nuisance. In fact, the biggest potential problems seem unaddressed by the applicant. The applicant also disclosed that there are wetlands on the property. This project would appear to require site plan review, stormwater permitting, and perhaps a notice of intent to the Conservation Commission. Very truly yours, Robert H. Bowen of Bowen & Bowen, PC. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Okay, and with that, I would invite the applicant to come forward, give your name and address, and we will, first, there's a couple things I want to point out from those readings and from what this board already knows. The trailer is not permitted on a long-term basis. That we can condition a limited use of the trailer for a set period of time, but something like that would have to be conditioned by this board.
Okay.
So that you would at some point. The other thing is the site plan review. It's incomplete. It doesn't have a lot of information on it for this board to look at and address, because there is no, you have the trailer, and I went to the site, the trailers are there, there's nothing else there. It's a blank page, I guess, or space. So you don't have where the equipment's going to be, you don't have, how far all your, I think you do have setbacks, but all of that. But there's a lot of information. I do believe that you would have to do a stormwater review on this property. And also, as mentioned, you do have to go to the planning board after this board. So based on that, we also, I know that, and I'm going to open it up to the board, just so that you have an idea what we're looking for. You know, we don't know the number of equipment that you have, the number of trucks that you have, the number of employees. These are all questions that are going to come up.
Okay.
So does the board have anything they would like to add at this point?
I think you've answered or asked a lot of questions, because on here, I just see basically a plot plan of the yard and nothing else. There's, as Al said, there's nothing about where building would be, when it would be put up, how big it's going to be, how many people it would employ. There's nothing about parking for employees, permanent ones coming in. There's nothing even stating about conservation land. There's nothing about wetlands or compliance. There's nothing about review from the fire and police station. You know, those all have to be in there, saying about your vehicles.
Right.
And also to protect the employees coming in and egressing as they're going on. And obviously tarring materials require something a little more cautious, so to speak, than what we might expect, and some things that we might not normally know, but fire and police and conservation would know because they look at them more specifically. Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. I have a question about this diagram at the top. It's kind of unreadable. What is that?
Can
Which
I
one?
speak to that right?
Sure.
So I had called the building department. I wanted to know if it was wise for me to come today, because my intent is for Northland Engineers to create a more detailed site plan. I'm not knowledgeable on that, and I did put a lot of trust in their site plan, and I know, just by talking to members of the planning board and building department and so on, that that's certainly not enough to go on. And the quality's horrible, which I noticed right off the bat, even when we enlarged it. So I wasn't sure if tonight, I just wanted to make clear that I want to continue this so that I can update or have the engineers update the site plan to acceptable standards, which I agree with. I'm not, it doesn't have what you need on there, and I didn't become aware of that until very recently, of what you would want on there.
I know for a business like you're running, something like an oil separator in the parking lot would probably make a lot of people happy in the area, you know, for runoff, oil separator, where the runoff from the trucks in the water gets separated and gets pumped out. It's a common thing in the plumbing business, so it might be something to look into if you
Sure.
put it in the parking lot and include that with your plan. I know they're very expensive, but it might help your
Okay.
cause, so to speak.
I will definitely look into that. Thank you.
Do you just, just because we're gathering a little bit of information,
Sure.
you don't store anything, you're not going to have any outside storage, you're not going
No,
to
sir.
bring back
Nope.
asphalt that you're going to recycle later, or?
No, we don't have the capacity to recycle even if we wanted to. All extra asphalt or asphalt that isn't used on a job is brought back to Keating's, and there's a charge for us to dump, very small charge. So that's what we do.
Okay.
So no, there'll be nothing.
I'm just trying to give you a
Yeah.
flavor of what we're looking for. Again, and so there'll be no chemicals that you know of, other than your trucks.
Right. And
Okay.
somebody
Okay.
said something about washing the trucks with, we just use soap and good soap and water, and I know that some people would use a stronger solvent, but
Okay.
We haven't.
You've asked for a continuance. I'll ask if there's any other information that the board's looking for. If we're good, I will ask the board if they, what?
we
I also
allow-
have to give public comment, so if you would like to speak or address anything at this time, you have to come up to the mic and give your name and address.
Certainly. My name is Clark Knudsen. I'm the one who, that was the first letter read in. So my big questions, the things I would like to have answered, number one, I laid it out there in the letter. So what are the intended uses, but also if it is granted as a contractor yard, what is the purview of a contractor yard? Because if they say that they're not planning on washing, I've talked with other people I know, and they say that pavement trucks often get washed with diesel. They may plan to do it with soap. Now, if they were to switch over to diesel in the future, would that still fall within the purview of a contractor yard? And so I hope that you understand where I'm coming from, because if it's granted as a contractor yard, they may start off truly with the best of intentions as that, but if they decide to shift later, and it's under the use of a contractor yard, or budding property owners
Okay.
in...
We would actually, just to answer your question, we would actually condition it that if there is any expansion or change to the business as it is before us, that they will have to come back here so that we can address what those changes are and if they're appropriate.
Thank you. And like, as I laid out in the letter, my main...
Also, if they even sell the business and it changes hands, then they will have to reapply.
Okay. Thank you. And like I said, my single biggest concern is the groundwater, because when I looked before and looking around, the other contractor yards, at least that I was able to identify, seem to be all within water districts serviced by municipal water. Out where that property is located, everything is purely groundwater, well water. So if there's contamination there,
Right. Yeah, that's kind of why I think the stormwater review would be appropriate for that property.
yeah. And not just necessarily the stormwater, but leaching in over time, not just from a large runoff event. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the applicant asked,
Does she want to say anything else in
do
rebuttal?
you have anything else to add? The applicant?
No, but I will
Well-
feel a lot better when we have the new updated site plan.
You have to go back, you have to go back.
This is a whole new experience for me, and I'm learning a lot, thanks to some folks in certain departments. So, yeah, I'll feel a whole lot better speaking on this when we have the updated plan and so on.
All right, so you have asked for a continuance, and it's up to this board if they allow it or not, because actually, you're here and we could move on with it, but I think we're going to agree that there's not enough information, so I would ask the board if they would like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we continue this without prejudice and
To a date and time, sir.
I would question, do you think you have enough time for our next meeting, which is scheduled for...
April 13th.
Yes, I spoke to the engineering company yesterday, and I feel...
I'd rather make sure and postpone it even 2 weeks later than that if you're not sure.
No,
So,
I'm sure.
okay. To a date certain time, April
13th
13th.
at 7 PM?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And aye. Okay, so with that, we will continue this hearing until the April 13th at 7 o'clock. Again, at that hearing as well, we'll go over some of these things, so hopefully you'll have them all addressed. And I'm sure there'll be more questions, and if anyone from the public is watching wants to come to that meeting, they're certainly welcome to come and give us any of their input.
Mr. Chairman, I would just say to the abutter who was concerned about the wetlands, I'm probably pretty sure that the Conservation Commission would take a look at the plans as well,
They
in
should
addition to
get-
the planning board, so.
They should give a notice of intent to them
I've
as
spoken
well.
to them.
Yeah, so regards to your concerns about the wetlands, which seems, I did a site visit, and it seems like there's a lot of wetlands around there, so I'm sure that there would be very concerned about any kind of diesel or anything like that that would get into the groundwater. I'm sure they'd be all over it, so.
Okay, with that, it is being continued to the 13th at 7 o'clock.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.